boat docks flipped over, some problems with some houseboats as this kind of moves across the lakes right now, the land between the lakes. Very strong winds moving across the area right now. And we'll pan this down, follow the strong gusty winds. Again, all this fuchsia color you see here, that bright pinkish fuchsia color, that is winds that are gusting up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. And whenever we see these little pockets of orange, that's when we get over 60 miles per hour on the wind gust side. And then in Union City, we've got very intense winds moving in right now. You can see in the Union City area, we'll see. Now, this is going to be a loft, so it probably won't be reaching the ground, but we're seeing winds up to 101 miles per hour in the air, at least right now, with that storm that is moving through Union City and is headed towards Martin, Tennessee. I know we've got a lot of folks at UT Martin that watch us. Also, Murray State, you're under the gun again as this gust front is headed your way. And what I just don't want to see is all this activity that is out to our west. I want to pan things out just a bit. And we're going to see another round of severe weather. Hopefully, we just see hail and a few gusty winds, but I'm really concerned that this is going to turn into a little bit of a tornado threat, especially with the outflow boundary that is left right here from this activity. If any of these storms can tap on that, I'm concerned we could see a tornado threat later on this evening across this general area of the heartland, from Poplar Bluff to Elsinore to Doniphan to southern Iron County and Reynolds County, maybe the Piedmont area. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I just don't like what I'm seeing here as these storms continue to develop across the area. So one more time, I'm going to take a look at the strong storms that are moving across western Kentucky. We've got very, very strong winds moving out of Paducah, moving across the land between the lakes right now. The possibility of seeing winds gusting over 80 miles per hour. More than likely, there'll be about 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, but at times, radar's indicated winds a little bit stronger than that. And we've got Marshall County right here. Big activity for lake goers. I know there's probably a lot of people here because of the weekend, and we've got to get through this mess right now. Very strong gusty winds moving your way. All in all, it doesn't look all that impressive other than the wind gusts. The wind gusts look very impressive. The reflectivity doesn't look all that impressive. There's probably a good bit of lightning, but I think most of the lightning is going to be to the south. Yeah, look, most of the lightning's with this activity down here. The northern end of the gust front looks to be weakening significantly, but at least when we look at the winds, it still looks very, very strong. Now, I've been going for a long time here, Brian. I know you've been behind the scenes checking on some information for us. You have any latest damage reports or anything like that?
Well, about, let's say 20 minutes ago, near Wolf Island, Missouri, that's in Mississippi County, there was an official wind measurement at 66 miles an hour. And near Sikeston, it was even higher than that. We were talking about 80 mile an hour wind gusts near Sikeston, Missouri. All those thunderstorms now moving into parts of western Kentucky. So look out Cadiz, look out Princeton, Marion, Kentucky, Elizabethtown. All these areas are going to be seeing a very strong straight line wind gusts in excess of 60 to possibly to 80 miles an hour. Very strong wind. In fact, the severe thunderstorm warning blankets western Kentucky, and it's continuing till 7:15 this evening. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of southeastern Illinois, western Kentucky, and western Tennessee until 7:15 this evening for the threat of damaging straight line wind in excess of 80 miles an hour. We have still about 25,000 customers with Ameren alone. 25,000 customers without power in southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois. Again, we have a lot of reports of wind damage, trees on cars, trees on houses, ripped up shingles on these houses. We have a lot of damage to pass along, a lot of outages as well. So all this moving to the east at 65 miles an hour. We had wind damage in Leadington, Missouri, in St. Francis County, in Bismarck in St. Francis County. We had winds take down some trees and power lines earlier this afternoon. We had wind damage in Chester, Illinois. Trees and power lines were taken down, and it really everywhere. A lot of areas in southeast Missouri, Van Buren, all the way up to Potosi. We had power outages. We've had trees reported down. So this is why we're taking this so seriously in western Kentucky. So Princeton, Cadiz, Elizabethtown, be in your safe spot right now. Murray, fair dealing for parts of Martin, Tennessee, all the way down to Dresden. A very strong wind moving in your direction at 65 miles an hour. We're seeing wind gusts approach 60 to 80 miles an hour, and it has a long history of doing damage, and it's going to continue moving to the southeast at 65 miles an hour. Unfortunately, we have more severe thunderstorms off to our west, and these are isolated. They could pose not only a straight line wind threat, but also large hail and an isolated tornado will be possible as these continue to move off to the east. Now, overall, this line of thunderstorms is going to merge into one long line, and it's going to sag southward into northern Arkansas, where they're going to issue a watch here very soon. So again, while northern Arkansas will be under the gun very soon for severe weather, all that rain is going to get blown downstream into parts of southeast Missouri and southern Illinois, and we're going to see some aggravation of some flash flooding issues. So we're going to be dealing not only with the severe wind threat and large hail and an isolated tornado, but we're going to see some flash flooding issues take shape over parts of southeast Missouri in the coming hours. So again, the latest update, we have a lot of reports of trees down, tree damage throughout McCracken County. We're not getting anything specific, but widespread wind damage is a safe bet across much of southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. Now that's bearing down on the fair dealing Murray, Dresden, Martin, Tennessee area. These are going to continue moving to the southeast at 65 miles an hour. And as of right now, a severe thunderstorm warning for much of southeastern Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee until 7:15, with these thunderstorms moving east at 65 miles an hour.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, we've got a lot of activity out there, and I'm just hoping that stuff to our west dies down, but I don't see it happening. It needs to hurry up and form its line and move out of our area, but it looks like we will have at least our southwestern counties have to be dealing with some more severe weather over the next few hours. So we're going to get us through this first initial burst here, and the speed that it's moving, we should be getting it out of our area in about 30 minutes or so. And then Brian and I are going to take a little breather while we watch what's going on to the west and get ready for round number 3, the way it looks right now. But you can see we've got some very strong gusty winds just to the south of Duketon. And again, that is in, we're looking at Weakley County in northwest Tennessee. 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That is just to the north of Martin in Tennessee. So if you are in, you know anybody that's near UT Martin or near the Martin, Tennessee area, we're seeing very strong gusty winds headed your way. A new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. We can kind of take a look and see where that is or see if it's just a continuation. And it's kind of hard to tell because we've got so many of them, but I think it's a continuation of the severe thunderstorm for here. We can kind of get the idea of how long this is out until 7:15 is just about for all of those counties, as we expect this line to be out of our area pretty much by 7:15, and that would be some fantastic news. But again, we have very strong gusty winds all along this gust front. We've seen numerous reports of damage, and that's why we've stayed with this the entire time, because we knew there'd be a lot of folks that are losing power, a lot of folks that were under the gun for not only tree damage, but property damage. And if you get some of these trees fall on you, if you're not taking shelter, you could be injured or worse. So that's why we definitely wanted to stay with this situation. Look at this gust front right to the south of Mayfield. This is in southern Graves County over Highway 94. That's a 75-mile-per-hour wind gust. It's moving towards Murray, Kentucky. So you folks in Murray, Kentucky, Murray State, we've talked about you earlier. You got another round moving in. Very strong gusty winds headed your way right now. All this pink fuchsia color that you see that I'm scooting along real fast here, that's indicating winds of at least 50 miles per hour along this gust front. And every once in a while we see pockets of this orange shading, and that is winds that are over 60 miles per hour near the Eddyville area, rapidly moving out of the area. And then other storms moving towards Princeton, very strong gusty winds. And again in Marion right now in Crittenden County, very strong gusty winds. Some indications that winds could be trying to approach 100 miles per hour, getting close to it at least. Yeah, 124-mile-per-hour wind gust in the clouds with the radar with some of those winds. So we could easily be seen south of Marion to the north of Fredona right here. Possibility of winds gusting over 80, 90 miles per hour if that's reaching the ground. It won't be as strong as what the radar's indicated in the air because we lose some of that energy, but it could still transport that wind down to the surface and produce damage. And that is in far eastern Crittenden County, and about to move into Callaway County, Caldwell County under the gun, Lyon County, and Marshall County. And you just see that very strong wind right there in southeastern Graves County, that orange shading that we talked about. That will definitely do some damage as it moves through. And, of course, Weakley County and Obion County, we don't want to forget about you either. You've got very strong winds moving in and a very intense storm right here. And it was showing signs of hail earlier as well. Take a look at the correlation coefficient to see if we can get an estimate based on what it's showing on where the hail is. And yeah, we're seeing some hail right here mixing in with that at times. And a very strong storm moving through northern Weakley County as we speak. So we've been on the air for quite some time. We're going to be with this probably about another 15 to 20 minutes. And then we're going to kind of step back, regroup, and monitor what we think is going to happen with this. We may not have that much time. I tried to do that about 3 hours ago before the tornado warnings were first issued, and we've been going nonstop ever since, but we want to make sure that everybody stays safe in the heartland. And whether you're in Murray, Kentucky, Martin, Tennessee, or Farmington, Missouri, or Deloge, Missouri, or Van Buren, if it's going to impact you, we're going to be watching it for you. So there's a lot of folks that right now are not being impacted by severe weather. But just remember, you were earlier, and we're going to kind of stay with this activity as it happens to be with us throughout the night. I want to look at this storm that's moving into Reynolds County real fast because it has that nasty appendage that we don't like to the west of Bunker. And as we take a look, we'll scope this and look inside it, and we'll take a look at the shear and see what's going on with the winds inside the storm. And you can see, yeah, we definitely, there's some rotation right there forming. And we look at the correlation coefficient. Do we have any hail? I'm sure we do. You can see that big green dot right there. That is hail. You can see it just updated. I wonder if the velocity updated as well. I want to take another look at that headed towards Bunker. We may get a tornado warning issued shortly on that storm if it holds together and moves into Reynolds County. So let's get back to our heartland view and take a look at everything. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings out until 7:15 for a good bit of the area. We've had numerous reports of wind damage. Hail the size up to 2 inches in diameter at times, and this line of storms is about to decrease, or I shouldn't say decrease, but about to move out of our area. It's catching up with this line out in front of it. Other storms that are trying to regenerate near Sykeston, so far those are behaving. We've got another storm that's moving towards Carter and Ripley County. Let's take a look at that real fast because it's all by itself, and it is in a very volatile environment. Lots of energy for that storm to deal with. And so far it doesn't have that appendage that the storm to the north of it does, but we can still look to see if we have any rotation south of Winona. And it's hard to tell. It's in one of those void areas for the radar, but we can kind of see if there's any hail falling in. Yes, there's definitely some hail in that storm. So we got a lot of activity to deal with. Severe weather appears likely to continue throughout the evening hours. Let's get everybody caught up to date before we get ready to take our little breather here, as it does appear as though the line is rapidly moving out of the area. We've got about another 10 minutes or so, I would say, Brian, on this storm. I want to throw things over to you real quick to see if we've had any more reports of any wind reports or any more reports from damage.
Absolutely, Grant. We do have a few reports of damage, especially in McCracken County. We had a large tree uprooted. Let's see, onto home, another large tree that was snapped off nearby. That apparently was in Morton's Gap in Hopkins County, Kentucky. There's also in just about 5 miles west of Paducah, there's a tree down on Bryan Avenue off of Maxon Road. Also, looking at, looks like we just had a tornado watch issued for parts of the area. We'll have a look at that in just a moment as the data comes down into our weather systems here. So again, we're tracking some very strong thunderstorms now moving through Callaway, Marshall, and Weakley County in western Tennessee and into western Kentucky. Most of the heartland dealing with some light rain at the time, but the area of most concern, the area of highest concern at this moment is western Tennessee and western Kentucky. You see the leading edge of these thunderstorms is what we're watching. The threat of 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts now just to the north of Dresden, just to the northeast of Martin, Tennessee. So I'll zoom in just a little bit farther, and you see these areas of almost orange to pink colors here. Southeastern Graves County, Marshall, Callaway County, from Murray up to Fair Dealing. The leading edge of these thunderstorms are putting down 60 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts. We've had a lot of reports of damage across McCracken County. Trees down. Trees uprooted, a lot of power outages to pass along. We still have over 25,000 power outages in southern Illinois and southeast Missouri. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning continues for parts of western Kentucky and western Tennessee until 7:15. This line of thunderstorms now moving to the southeast at 65 miles an hour, with wind gusts on the leading edge approaching 80 miles an hour. A lot of tree damage reported in parts of western Kentucky and Tennessee, stretching as far back as southeast Missouri. Again, we have over 25,000 power outages, according to Ameren alone, between southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. Chances are that number will go up. We're still tracking these powerful thunderstorms move southeast, approaching Murray, Dresden, and Martin, Tennessee. Take cover now. These are very strong wind gusts approaching your location. Zooming out for the wider view, still tracking some widespread rain in parts of southern Illinois. That's with some more stable air. Your severe threat in southern Illinois for the time is a little lower than the rest of the area. We have some stable air with this light rain that's falling, but an area that we're watching very closely continues to be southeast Missouri, folks. No rest at all. I mean, we're dealing with quiet conditions right now, but off to our west, some very powerful thunderstorms developing, and they're going to be moving to the southeast as well. In southeast Missouri, down to Kentucky and Tennessee, there is a swath of instability and some shear. Those are two ingredients that we have to have for severe weather, and we're going into an uncapped environment in northern Arkansas, so this line is going to feed right into that. It's going to sag southward, but individual cells will continue to develop and move into southeast Missouri. Some of these have shown signs of rotation at times. We're going to continue to track these as a severe thunderstorm watch. A PDS severe thunderstorm watch continues until midnight for all of the heartland. We're going to continue seeing spotty showers and thunderstorms, some of which will produce damaging wind gusts and large hail. We've got over 25,000 reports of power outages in Ameren alone. We've got widespread extensive tree damage. Some of them have fallen on homes. Some of them have fallen on cars. Some of them have blocked highways, and several reports of wind damage. So we appreciate all of those reports coming in on Twitter, all various forms of social media. We appreciate your reports on Facebook as well. If you can safely do so, we appreciate those reports. Do not put yourself in harm's way. We're nowhere near done. The main threat that we were tracking was with that Bo Echo that is now in western Kentucky and Tennessee. Now we're watching these thunderstorms now move southeast of I-44. They will move into parts of southeast Missouri, and they'll redevelop into parts of northern Arkansas. So aside from the high wind, large hail threat for parts of the area, we're also going to be seeing a flash flood threat over the next several hours. So unfortunately, we've got several more hours before we can finally take a deep breath there, Grant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we've got a new tornado watch that you had mentioned. I want to kind of bring it up. The counties are not coming out just yet, but it does include, yeah, it looks like it's Dunkling County, Pemiscot County. I think it's Madrid County, also Stoddard County, Wayne County, Butler County, Carter and Ripley counties. This is a new tornado watch. It goes out until 2 o'clock in the morning, and the Storm Prediction Center is calling for the possibility of a couple of intense tornadoes and 80-mile-per-hour winds in addition to baseball-sized hail. This almost This was close to being classified as a PDS tornado watch, but the probabilities weren't quite as high. But whenever you see the wording of a watch, a few possible intense tornadoes possible, this is a serious situation. And we've got some supercells that are developing that are going to be moving into our area, and we're going to be starting to see, I think, tornado warnings issued very, very shortly for a good bit. Well, I shouldn't say a good bit, but I do think that some of these will become severe and produce tornado warnings as they move off to the east-southeast. So again, a new tornado watch has been issued, and it's for until 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't think it will last until 2 o'clock in the morning in our area. That's mainly for the folks in Arkansas. But a very volatile situation is shaping up. So let me take a look real quick. We're going to zoom into the storms that are moving across northwestern Tennessee and in parts of western Kentucky. Brian and I, we need to look at a couple of things to kind of get our bearings on what's going to be happening the rest of the evening, kind of get caught up. We haven't done any forecasting. We haven't looked at any model information to kind of get an idea of what's going to happen with these supercells that are headed our way. But I want to give you a heads up. We've got very strong winds that are moving out of Weakley County into Henry County, and also Murray, Kentucky. We're seeing the possibility of some very strong winds, and the strong gusty winds are moving out of you can see the gust front is right here. This is that inflow jet that we were talking about. Remember when it was over Cape Girardeau County? Well, now the rear inflow jet is moving right across Princeton, and the gust front is right here, way off to the east of that main strong winds, and the actual northern end of that line of storms appears to have weakened. So I'm going to back things up. We're going to take a look at the entire heartland, and then we're going to throw things back to regular scheduled programming for as long as we can. But I don't think we'll be at regular programming for much longer because I'm very concerned with what's going off to the west. So severe thunderstorm warnings. The strong gust front is about to move out of Callaway County. It is moving out of Weakley County and is moving out of Caldwell County, and it is also moving out of Crittenden County. New severe thunderstorm warnings basically just trimming what we have right here. More storms are developing. We will be updating you throughout the night. We will have more warnings. Stay with us. We'll keep you informed.